Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and welcome to the first ever edition of Monday Morning Gamer, where that's kind of a play on words with Monday Morning Quarterback. If you don't know what that means, you can look it up. And basically going to go over the weekend's WoW esports. And this past weekend, we had AWC circuit games, and I picked 5 topics that I thought of while I was watching every single match, and we're just gonna go over them and kind of try to have fun with this a little bit. And yeah, maybe the idea would be to hopefully get more people interested into the WoW esports because I actually think they're pretty fun. So the first topic is the most fun team to watch in the AWC. So it typically in any kind of sport, whether it's esport or traditional sport, you have to have a rooting interest to really be invested in it. And for me, this has always been an issue where I haven't really had anyone I root for. I'm not really a fan of anybody in traditional sports. I'm a football fan, I'm a basketball fan. Um, I can even get into World Cup soccer sometimes. Usually root for Netherlands for whatever reason, and so I can get into it for that, but for esports, I've never really had a team that I rooted for. However, I've really been into it this year, and I think when you are really into it, you are more likely to find a team that you connect with or whatever. For me, that team is Creed. Creed is a really fun team. They came on the scene this year, at least, with and their players are way more experienced than just this year, but this year they came out with a prop paladin healer, and that was really strange, obviously, but it actually worked, and they were doing really well with it. They did nerf that, so you can't do that anymore effectively, but they're also showing that they can play the metas. They're playing things other people aren't playing. They were playing Turbo this weekend with Enhancement Shaman Arms Warrior, and it was really fun. They played really good. They dominated in many ways, and they are just a fun team to watch. They're willing to try new things, strange things, gimmicky things, but they're fun, which is good for a viewer. They're also good at playing the meta, playing the best comps, playing the things that are most powerful in game at the moment. And then they also seem to have like this confidence or this aura, this swagger about them, and it makes me root for them even more because I'm into that. Now, if you're not into that, you might want more of a team that doesn't have that. Then that would be your opinion. But for me, the most fun team in the AWC has got to go to Creed. Having a blast watching them, and if I continue to watch over and over throughout the entire season, and into the future, I could definitely see myself rooting for them. The next topic we have is the Ret Dream. Now this one's just near and dear to my heart. If you're one of the few that follow my channel, I main Retribution Paladin. So Ret is near and dear to my heart. I know a lot about Ret. I do guides on Ret from a PvE perspective, mind you. I'm not a PvP master. I'm not saying that I could play better than these people in the AWC. I think this past weekend it was Kara and Mystic were the only 2 Rets that actually got to play. And I'm not saying I'm better than them. If they dueled me, they'd probably beat me 100 times out of 100 or something, right? I'm in no way delusions of grandeur on my own particular skill. However, there's 2 things come to mind when I'm watching the Ret games. One is, why on earth are they not like comboing their moves together? I have seen, and it must just be the way you have to play it, is what my conclusion is. So I've seen them throw a Final Reckoning across the entire map at max range with nothing to follow it up on. Now, if you don't know, this move makes them take more damage after you hit them with it. So you want to follow that up with your Divine Toll, your Wake, obviously multiple Templar's Verdicts. If you run Execution Sends, which I doubt they do for AWC, but you'd want to put that into it. You want to put everything into your Final Reckoning. And I'm seeing them just throw it willy-nilly. I'm seeing them throw Wake of Ashes just randomly. It does good damage, yeah, so does Final Reckoning, but it's not going to kill your opponent. The whole thing about Ret right now, damage-wise, is you have to put everything together. It's a meme if you put everything together. You hit them with the Final Reckoning. You hit them with, you Seraphim, you hit them with Final Reckoning, hit them with Divine Toll, Templar's Verdict, Wake of Ashes, Templar's Verdict. If you had Execution Sentence running on them during this, then they're probably going to die. Now, again, they're probably not running Execution Sentence, but that's what makes the ret damage strong. Everyone's like, oh, Divine Toll one shots. As you can watch in the AWC, Divine Toll does not one shot. It does not one shot like really skilled players. It can, I guess, during high damage times, almost like be the reason you die, for sure. A full proc on Ringing Clarity could do that, but it's not that powerful, and you have to really combo those moves together to get the most damage out of it. And because of the healing nerfs early on, which is what actually made ret viable, ret being a strong healer, much like Prot, that's what made ret viable. So if you're going to play ret, you've got to put the damage out. And if you're not putting the damage out, it's time to retire the ret dream. So basically what I'm saying is, if it's because it's too difficult, because things don't line up right, you can't do those damage combos, then you're not going to be putting out good damage. You can look at the damage breakdowns after the matches, and the ret paladin damage is abysmal. It is not where it should be. Ret paladin can keep up with anything pretty much in damage. It's like a top 5, top 6 damage, and you should be keeping up with pretty much anything. And when it's really low, that's because you're not putting your combos together, and maybe you can't put your combos together. But if you can't, if you want to play ret, Blizzard's just going to have to balance it back, either give us more healing or more survivability, and that's just the way it's going to have to be, unfortunately, because I love ret, and I don't like to say that it might need to be retired right now. Speaking of retiring, the next segment is going to be about leaving your team. So we had a situation pop up during the cast. One of the players wasn't there. This player's name is Ratipi, and I'm never gonna be critical of people like on a personal level during any of these videos. That's not what this is gonna be about, and I'm definitely not gonna be critical of him. I went and looked at his stuff, and I know what Zico said on the cast. So basically, it was said that he was retiring and he was going to focus on his university, which I definitely applaud that. And basically, the team just kind of YOLO'd it, played random comps that didn't really have a true healer, and it was a bloodbath, of course. And it is what it is. As a viewer, it stinks, right? As a viewer, it is terrible. It's a terrible look. You don't want that to happen if you are let's say you are the NBA, you do not want in a playoff. Let's say it's the playoff. This is just like regular season, so it actually doesn't really matter, and which is why I'm not going to be really that critical of him. But in let's say it's a playoff series, you don't want your LeBron James to just say, I'm not playing. I'm going to focus on something else. That is terrible for your league, and that would cause repercussions going down the line in the future on new rules, preventing that from happening. It's a terrible look. Luckily, this is just kind of like regular season, so it's not a huge issue. He has other things he wants to focus on. Like I said, I'm not going to be critical of him. He has stuff he wants to focus on. I'm sure his teammates are probably supporting of him as well. That's another big thing. If your team's supporting of you, it's hard to judge too hard on that, because who are you really letting down? Maybe the fans, because it's a crappy match to watch, but it is just essentially like a regular season game, so maybe it doesn't matter as much. Also, this doesn't have as many viewers as like an NBA game does, so those are all things worth talking about there. Again, not going to be critical of him, but it was something that came up, and it was a big issue. It definitely made that match, like I said, a complete bloodbath. Overall, leaving Ratipi out of it on a personal level, I do think leaving your team's a bad thing to do. I think you should always follow through with a commitment if you can. If you absolutely can't, then you should make sure it's okay with everybody else before you leave that commitment. But again, it is what it is. I just wanted to address it because it was a big thing that came up, and something I took notice of, and I was a little bit disappointed by, because of, I wanted to I like the matches, and sometimes the most random match can be the most exciting match. So up next, we have casters and entertainment. Entertainment meaning the entertainment value to the audience, so the people watching. And, that's generally what the casters are trying to do. They're kind of putting on a show and trying to make it more entertaining for us, the viewers. So overall, I like all the casters. In the host, Aya, we have Ziku, Venruki, and Supatis, I believe, are the main ones that are always on there. They're actually really cool. I generally enjoy them. I think I could like game with them and have a good time. But one thing that what brought about this topic actually was Venruki mentioned during the cast that he was trying to be a little bit more bold with his predictions, not hedge bets, just say something outlandish in a way. And I think that actually makes for a much better entertainment. This is what you see on more mainstream sports, not esports. You'll see these people saying things, and it creates engagement. When he says something outlandish like the unfavored team is going to win, like sweep them or something like that. So let's say he says the worst team is going to beat the best team, right? And the worst team, and let's say he says they're going to beat them like 3-1, and they win 3-2 instead. Then he looks like Nostradamus at that point. Even if they lose 3-2, he looks really good because he's like, hey, I knew they could win. It was close. And if they get completely blown out, you go, well, I had faith in them. I thought they had it in there, and you double down on it. And I think if the casters could kind of lead into that more, I think that would create a more entertaining product for the AWC. And I know me as a viewer, I enjoy that more. There's probably part of the audience that doesn't want that, like the more pure part of the audience. You have that in everything. I remember when MMA first became mainstream, and still it's still becoming mainstream, I guess. But like the hardcore initial fans are like, we don't want that crap. We just want the real purity of it. But if you want to grow your thing, if you're interested in the health of WoW esports, for example, then you do want this to happen, even if you are one of the original pure people who, treasure the culture and the tradition that have already been established. So, other than that, I would say I would like to see less I don't knows thrown in during the cast. Oh, I don't know. I think you should know. I think you should go out of your way to know everything you can. And there will be things you don't know. You don't know for sure the an ability that's cast. And sometimes they do a good job guessing. And even if they guess wrong, I think that's good. It's good to at least put something out there. I don't think I don't knows are very good. And on the last topic we just talked about, Ziku actually had some inside information on Radipie. I think it actually would be very helpful to have, and they do these little interviews randomly. They throw them in the broadcast, but I think it'd be really cool, especially the ones that they have personal relationships with, if they had like a little story about one of the players from one of the teams. And not story as in like, it doesn't have to be funny. I feel like they try to be funny a lot. It could be a heartfelt story. It could be they battled COVID story or something like that, right? Throw in these little stories, especially during the downtime when it's a double wizard team and they're just, poking each other from across the map and they're not really doing anything. They do a decent job of sometimes talking in those portions, but it'd be cool to maybe have like a little quip, a little story, a little 1 minute story, a little 30-second story about the players. I think that would be extremely helpful as well. For the very last segment, for this very first episode, I'm going to give my top picks to win. This is going to change over time, I'm sure, depending on results, I suppose. And I'll give my top team from NA and my top team from EU. So my top team from NA, this would have been my second team on my favorite, like the team to root for, in the most fun team to watch or whatever in the first segment. Which went to Creed. However, in NA, I'm going to go with Golden Guardians. It's a little bit of an abstract pick. Method NA would probably be the safe pick here in NA. And Cloud9 actually played really well as well, and they're a very good team. I'm going to go with Golden Guardians. I really actually have been enjoying them a lot, and I think that they have what it takes to win. I think they have some of the same qualities that Creed has. They're an established team, going back. And I'm going to go with Golden Guardians for now as my number one ranked team in NA. And, you know, they might get their own segment as well because they were just behind Creed for me in rankings as far as the most fun team to watch. Should go without saying that my top pick for EU is going to be Creed. I think they have what it takes to beat anybody. I know Skill Capped is going to be the favorite no matter what. They're extremely good. Skill Capped's obviously the safe pick there, but I'm gonna go with Creed. I think Creed. I'm gonna ride with Creed as the top EU team, and I'm just gonna go with my favorites, especially while they're winning, as for the top picks. So there you have it. We have Golden Guardians NA and Creed for EU as my top picks to win. So that's it for this inaugural Monday Morning Gamer episode. Hold on with me here. I'll hopefully get better at these as I go on. Plan on doing this after each weekend of an esport. I'll also have an MDI version. As always, I ask you to please subscribe to my channel because it helps me out so much. And other than that, everybody, have a good one.